All right, man. It's a very good day to you. Thank you so much. This is another episode of the Free Ride Podcast. I've got an amazing guest in the house. Well, not in the house, but in the car. His name is Kheshner, and he is the man who's responsible for Radio Bob's Blues show on Sundays. This is the rocking Mlungu. I tell you, man, you got to hear the stories. And of course, I want to say thank you to everybody who loves this show, who keeps signing up, who's subscribing, who keeps liking. Continue and tell everybody about this show. And let me say good morning to my friend. How you doing, bud?
How could I be doing in a car called Mr. President? Right, green, I feel like the king.
Yes!
Okay, the only intimidating thing is I'm sitting with this good-looking dude. And when women see the two of us, they're not going to notice me, which is a huge problem. Massive issue for me.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
It's the truth. And look at this. And he's decked out in Kaiser Chiefs. I mean, what is that?
Come on
I'm
now.
a Pirate supporter here. Let's make this short. I'm already irritable.
You're so annoyed already.
I'm completely annoyed. But just what an absolute privilege to be seriously with you. I'm a massive fan. I've been watching your podcast since the start. You are the absolute master.
Thank you, buddy.
To be invited to this, damn, what a privilege. Just had a magnificent Vespa ride.
Yeah.
And Vespas are, it's one of the, I think it's the top 100 human designs of all time. So I've come from that ride.
Yeah.
To this,
Mr. President.
Mr. President, surely
Come
one of
on.
the top 20 human designs of all time. So
that's amazing.
what a perfect Friday. This is going to be great. I can't wait to chat to you all.
My buddy, I'm so excited to have you. Let's introduce you to our guests. I mean, they're probably wondering, who is this Mlungu? Who is this cool dude who's sitting at the back, sitting like a king?
Cool old dude. Okay, let's finish our sentences here. What I am is I'm someone who fell in love with the blues when they were a young kid.
Yeah.
Very young kid. And I've been a blues fanatic forever.
Yeah.
The source of all of today's black music. And the reason I'm known as the Mlungu is that I've got the great privilege of appearing on one of the great radio stations, Radio Bot, as the only
amazing.
White boy.
Yeah.
Can you believe it? Can you imagine?
Yes.
And that's why they call me the Mlungu, because I stick out like a sore thumb. But what a privilege to be there. Love it. And that's really why they call me the Mlungu. And my show is 6 to 7. It's called the College of Musical Knowledge.
Yeah.
Every Sunday evening.
Yeah.
And we've got a fantastic listenership of all races. I'm proud to say, and people just love the show. So
I think your show. I just think you take people on a memory lane. It's such a different vibe where when you're listening to it, you tell a story and like you can just almost imagine it. And that's why they say radio is like a theater of the mind.
Exactly. Radio is a theater of the mind. The thing I don't understand is getting onto radio, playing a song. You don't know what the lyrics are. Let me give you a great example, Super.
Yeah.
So, I don't remember how many weddings I went to in the 1980s where people, they're using it for their first dance. They're using the song like the Police's song, Every Breath You Take. And they're staring into each other's eyes. Such a romantic song, Every Breath You Take, every move you make, I'll be watching you. That's got nothing to do with romance. It's about a stalker. And they're looking at each other in complete love. Oh God, I love you, every breath you take. No. It's about stalking. Your marriage is going to last 6 months.
That nigga's been stalking you.
Seriously.
If you don't know.
The lyrics and the backstory behind the music.
It's unbelievable.
It's what the music is, isn't it?
I heard, but sorry to cut you there, but I heard how Rob Stewart wrote that song, Lady in Red. That it was actually him waiting for his wife to get done, and she was getting done, and then he wrote the song like that. And I'm like, it's always so amazing, and you break it down so well.
It's fantastic, and for me, that is the best way to do it. You have to understand what music is about. Otherwise, how's it going to move you?
And I think also because the blues is more of a it's deeper than the soul. It's like, I just think it's like
100%. The blues was created by these guys who were slaves from our continent, from the African continent.
Yeah.
And they came across, they were hauled across to America, had terrible, sad lives, you know.
Yeah.
I don't have to tell you about the slave trade in the US.
Yeah.
And these guys, when they were in the chain gangs, that's how they would chat to each other. So they were Indians, they were chained to each other, and they would talk and send messages down, singing the blues. I mean, what is more emotional than that?
It's deep.
It is deep. It is deep. And that's why us Mlungus like it so much. And so my mission, Sipho, my mission, and why these guys have got me on their radio, and Georgie, thank you, and Hector, Motivator, these radio legends who've taken over the legendary radio pop, they got me there. It sounds arrogant to teach black people about their own music.
Black music. That's
music.
crazy.
You've got to know the history of your music. And the blues, all music started, all today's music, rap, hip-hop, R&B, you name it, comes from the blues.
Yeah, it's the original music.
It is the original music.
That's unbelievable.
You know, and that's why Mlungus around the world love. You're not going to find a rock star who didn't start with the blues.
But what made you fall in love with the blues?
I'll tell you now. It's a very good question. So if I go back, it's 100 years. I don't want to give my age away because I'm sitting with this young, handsome stud here. I'll tell you what made me fall. It was a day, you know, some of these days, I can't remember what I had for breakfast this morning.
Okay.
Actually, I can remember 1965.
Okay.
It was a hot day. I grew up in Sea Point in Cape Town.
Yeah.
It was a cooking hot day. Okay.
Yeah.
We had a beautiful nanny called Minnie. Oh, I loved her. She was my second mother, and she used to take me and try and control Minnie. Her name was Minnie.
Minnie. Okay.
Lovely lady from Bishop Lavis in Cape Town.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful lady, and she took my brother and I to the beach. I would have been 7 years old at the time, and my dad. We'd just come off a beautiful hot day at the beach, and I can remember this. I was sitting there next to Minnie. We'd just come out of the water, and I was watching some teenage boys. And they were sitting on a blanket with girls, chatting to girls. And I couldn't imagine that happening, you know. I just couldn't imagine. It sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
And I remember coming home, staring at these big boys and hoping I'm going to become a big boy one of these days.
Yeah.
Okay. And then all of a sudden, I get home, my father walks in, and what has he got? He's got a record under his arm by the Rolling Stones called 12 by 5. I'll never forget it. And the Rolling Stones were blues fanatics. Okay?
Yeah.
They were white boys, but all they cared for was the blues. And the first song that came up on this little turntable was a song called Under the Boardwalk. And it went like this. Under the boardwalk, down by the sea, I'll be sitting on a blanket with my baby. That's where you'll find me. Oh. And it's just the whole thing, and I just fell in love.
Yes.
And from that second, I was in love with the blues. In love with the blues. Because now we've got a generator going right on top of us,
which is making a little bit of noise.
Making a hell of a noise.
But let's continue, brother.
Let's continue.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how you fell in love with it, and also the image of seeing those big boys with a girl.
The image of the big boy, I still love women like everybody else to this day, you know, and that's the kind of, like, the emotion that got going inside me. I've got no idea why I got so excited, but from that day onwards, 1965, I've been in love with the blues. Now, thank the Rolling Stones for that.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting that white boys got me into the blues, and I don't know if you all know.
I think we're gonna move, but you can talk while you talk.
Okay, cool. We're gonna move. This is so cool.
Yeah, we're gonna move.
We're moving in the car called Mr. President. Okay.
While we're being interviewed.
Let me pose in a very cool way. I've got my Kaiser Chiefs chauffeur here.
Come on now.
Okay.
That's how we do this.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
But the Rolling Stones got their name.
Yeah.
From, for me, my all-time hero, and his name is Muddy Waters.
Muddy Waters.
Please, people, Muddy Waters. He's got the famous song, I'm a Man.
Okay.
And sometimes he called it Manish Boy. And you all out there have to listen to that. If you really want to, that is the Bible of the blues, I'm a Man. Okay. He talks a story about, even though he's got no money, he feels like a man when he strolls out there. He's got his best suit on, and women are looking at him coming out of the church, and he says, I'm a man. And I feel like a man when I'm listening to that music. Okay?
Yes.
The blues.
Yo.
Okay.
It's amazing.
So that's really how I got started with the blues.
Yeah.
And it just continued and continued and continued. And then I had a show on Mix FM. Do you want to know how I got started in radio?
Oh, yeah, no, of course. Yeah, no, definitely. I want to hear that.
Okay. All right. So So many years ago, I think I was 16 years old. I had a cousin in Uruguay. So my family are German immigrants. They were refugees. So I'm born Jewish.
Okay.
And I come from a Jewish family, and they were refugees from the Holocaust in Germany.
No ways.
Yeah, mother and father. So my father landed up in South Africa, and my mother.
Wait, your mom and dad were in the Holocaust, or their grandparents?
They were from. They were both born in Germany. My mother was from Berlin. My father was from Hamburg, in Germany. So, and of course, my whole extended family.
Yeah.
Came out of Germany.
And they survived the Holocaust.
They survived because they got out early. That's what I'm saying. They weren't survivors. They were refugees.
Oh,
Okay.
so they didn't go to the concentration camp.
They did, thank the Lord for that.
I don't know.
Go.
Like, I saw documentaries on that. Like,
I mean,
it's the most horrific. And I always even wonder, like, how did you make it as a community of the Jewish community that still thrived with all that history?
How many Jews do you think that? Okay, well, how many people in the world? 7 billion.
Yeah.
How many of them are Jews?
I don't know.
What do you think?
I
Take
don't know.
a pot
Maybe.
shot.
Okay.
Take a pot shot.
Let's say.
What do you reckon?
Let's say.
7 billion.
Let's say 100 million.
That's what everyone says. 16 million.
16.
It's a pinprick.
16 million.
16. That is all, and that's because I reckon obviously 6 million of them were wiped out. So generations that would have come from them were wiped out in the Holocaust. So you guys should visit. You really should visit the Holocaust Museum in Cape
I did.
Town.
No, I went to this one in Parkton near the zoo.
Is that so? I haven't tried that one.
No,
yet.
I went to that one near the
Is
zoo.
that so? Is that
Like
so?
it's the most.
Yeah.
I had shivers down my spine. But
I should get there. So my parents came out from Germany.
yeah.
And my father, as I say, landed in South Africa, my mother in Uruguay, and they met when my father went to visit his brother in Uruguay. And the son, my first cousin Marcel, was an absolute, still is, electronic genius.
Okay.
Like the exact opposite of me, okay? I'm the dumb mlungu official. Okay?
You're the rock star.
I'm the rock star. I've got behind my pettiness. 'Cause I'm so
Your looks just get you through.
Exactly. Well, you would know about that, brother. You and I.
Yeah. No,
I mean, come on.
you get a lot of favors.
A lot of favors.
People open doors for you.
I mean, come on. Last time I took my shirt off, policemen were turning in their badges, baby. Grown men were weeping.
They're like, no, stop, no.
Stop, it's enough. There's only so much beauty we can take, male beauty. So, my cousin came out to visit me for the first time. My father brought him out. I was 16 years old. He was 18 years old.
Yeah.
And he said to me, he saw, I was really interested in music. And he made my father take him off to it was like an electronics shop, electronics store. And he built me a radio station, completely illegal.
Ha!
Completely. That would have been around 1973 or so. And we lived in the city bowl, sort of on the foot of Table Mountain, okay, where the school was.
Yeah.
And so this little radio station, he put all the
antenna,
aerials on the roof,
yeah,
with
yeah.
antennas, and this radio station could get to, I don't know, maybe just the city bowl area of Cape Town, Frederick, Oranjezicht, Highlands Estate, maybe the city centre, and I never quite worked out exactly, and I called it Ronnie's Rubbish.
Ha!
Well, my name was Ronnie in those days when I was at school,
Yeah.
so I would have been in grade 10
Yeah.
or standard 8 in those
It's
days.
unbelievable.
And I ran this, and by the way, put it right next to Springbok Radio.
Oh,
Now,
so you on
Springbok-
FM or medium wave?
It was FM.
Okay.
And Springbok Radio was the big station. It was the only big national station.
Yes.
Everyone listened to that. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's the same as Radio 5 today.
Oh,
Similar.
okay,
A
yeah.
national station, right?
Yeah.
And so when people were moving onto Springbok Radio,
They come past
they
you
would come
first.
past me.
Yeah.
You could not get more illegal. Okay. You could not.
Just
And I did bad things on it. First of all,
no.
I played great music because in
Okay.
those days rock music was the big thing.
Yeah.
And I used to play from my music collection, and I did it.
Ha.
I mean, I'll tell you, I had a turntable. There weren't even cassettes in those days. I had a turntable, and I took the microphone and I put it on the.
No. Ha.
And that's how we played music radio. So the music was great. It was music that everyone wanted to listen to, all the kids that is.
Wait, so the turntable, you had the
Little
speakers,
speaker, yeah.
and then you put the mic onto the speaker.
Mike went onto the speaker,
Ha.
and that's how we did it.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, so, and it was great radio. Okay? But it was called Ronnie's Rubbish, and then I would talk the biggest load of trash. Okay, so for instance, I would do a recipe minute, and it would go like this.
Right.
So, if you want to learn how to make spaghetti bolognese.
Yeah.
First add the spaghetti, then add the bolognese. Look out, tomorrow I'm going to do spaghetti Napolitan. Okay, that kind of rubbish. But I'd go a step further. Okay, and what I used to do is, I would bring this. I would go to the harbour.
Yeah.
I had a great friend, Joel. I'm going to talk about him later.
Okay.
When we were discussing my trying to lose my virginity story. We'll get
Yeah.
later. And we had this competition going who would lose it first.
Yeah.
But I used to bring up very unsavory people into my mother's house. Okay? She didn't know. We had a side entrance as guests. We had a side entrance.
Yeah.
And
Wait, how old were you again?
I was 16.
Jesus.
Side entrance to the house, and he would come in through the doors because my room was downstairs, not upstairs.
Yeah.
So I'd avoid my mother. I was very scared of both my parents.
Yeah.
And then I would interview them. We would go to places like clubs where these Chinese sailors would meet some ladies of the night.
Oh my God.
They'd been at sea for 6 months, and then these were the girls showing, and then I'd bring them in the house and interview them, what it's like,
Yeah.
What do you do for Chinese sailors?
What?
Shocking stuff.
No.
Stuff you would never hear on South African radio in the 70s. You can imagine
That's
how
insane.
conservative society was.
Huh.
It was insane.
And people were loving it.
I ran at 4 to 6:30 before dinner at night.
Okay.
From my room. I remember my mother once asking me, or my father, I forget it was, exactly what are you doing? And I'd say, no, I'm on this special radio talking to my friends.
Oh.
So I'm chatting to my mates,
Yeah.
So, but eventually I blew it. The whole thing came down as I wanted to then start selling advertising. And there was no internet or WhatsApp or cell phone. So what I did was, I made these little leaflets and I stuck into people's post boxes.
Oh my God.
And I said, bring it back to number 3 Clearwood Avenue. And then I was busted.
That's how they caught you.
That's how they caught me. The game was over.
Okay, so
The game was over.
on the pamphlet, did you put like catch us on this frequency?
No, what I said was, do you listen? Okay. What's your favorite bits of the show? All the kind of questions. So I could use that information to give to a possible advertiser.
Okay.
And that is how I got into
That's
illegal
how you got-
radio. And then
Jesus.
40 years later, I'm with my Harley Davidson group on a Sunday.
Yeah.
We get the BP garage in South Road, and a guy standing there by the name of Stevie B from Kai FM.
Yes,
You know
TVB. Yeah,
From
of course.
Kai FM. And
Yeah.
anyway, someone says, do you want to meet him? And I said, sure. Introduces me. I said, yeah, Ron. He says, where are you from? I said, Cape Town. He says, you're not by any chance the guy from Ronnie's Rubbish.
Oh no.
I said, I hadn't heard that name. I mean, I just forgot about it. That was like a childhood prank to me. He said, you've got to come on to my show. He was then on Mix FM,
Okay.
drive time show. He did the finance. He said, come one night a week, and you've got to relive one of your Ronnie's Rubbish.
Oh my
And
God.
that's what I said. Oh my God. So anyway, I had to prepare this thing, get my mind around something that's 45 years old,
Yeah.
and
Get into character.
Get into character, exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, my character's still bad now. I mean, I can imagine how it was in those days.
Yes.
My poor daughter, okay?
Oh
She's
my
the
God.
mother in this relationship. I'm the child.
It's like that
Yeah,
stuff.
stop. You're embarrassing me now. And anyway, I went on it, and people just loved it. And then it started the Shake, Rattle and Ron show on a Thursday eve, drive time on Mix FM.
Oh wow.
And that's what happened. And
That's how you got back into radio again.
Properly into radio. The first time was strictly amateur hour. And that's how it was. And I ran that show, and that was the Shake, Rattle and Ron show. And now I'm with the fantastic Hector Motivator. I mean, the man's a legend in the radio world.
Yeah.
He's brilliant motivator. That's why he's called Hector Motivator. And of course, he with George have taken over Radio Bop.
Yeah.
And they've revived what is the legendary, I don't have to tell you.
No, I mean, I grew up listening to Radio Bob,
there you go.
sleeping under a bed, bud. Under a bed.
I'm now interviewing the interviewer. How was Radio Bop for you in those days? Bob Mabena.
Bob Mabena, I mean, Hector, I mean, there's so many, Lawrence Dube.
Lawrence Dube, Felicia Mabuza.
Like so many of them, so many. I mean, it was a black English speaking radio.
That's
first.
what it was. The very first.
The first. So for me, as a young boy who stayed in a back room of some white people,
I didn't even know that.
my
Interesting. Yeah.
so I moved into these white people's house. My mom's aunt used to work for them. So it was a Portuguese dad and an English mom, and they had kids. They had 5 kids, and I was friends with the last born. He was at least a year older than me. So he was born 1977. I was born 78. So we became friends. So he started saying, "No, come stay with me, bud. Come stay." But I used to stay with my aunt in the back room. So she had a room probably the size. It was as wide as this car.
Yep.
And then probably it was about 3 meters wide and about 4 meters that way. And then we could only fit a bed like this. And I used to sleep underneath her. Half of my body was under the bed. And then used to listen to radio that way. And Radio Bob I used to dream listening to Radio Bob.
There you go.
So that's how
you
I
go.
fell in love with radio, was because of Radio Bob and radio, it's now called Motsweding FM.
Yeah.
And that's how I started falling in love with radio. And then Metro FM and some of the guys, Glenn Lewis, they all moved to Metro FM.
Yeah.
And that's how I fell in love with it. So Radio Bob is it's the true excellence of black radio.
And it's back.
And it's back.
Now, the true excellence of black radio. And
It's unbelievable.
You couldn't get a better endorsement than what you've just given it. That's here's the target market of Radio Bob.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, and it still lives.
Drag yourself up by his bootstrings.
And how I met you, bud, obviously was when Hector invited me to
be the guest speaker.
Yeah. And I heard and I sat with you guys and I listened and I was like, this radio, this is the future of radio.
Yeah, absolutely. And streaming radio. I mean, I don't know if you... I mean, to me, it's amazing. I'm sitting there talking. I'm watching my screen every Sunday evening.
Yeah.
I mean, last week we had them in from Jean Le Pont in the south of France, telling us they sit on the beach and they listen to the Blue Show.
No ways.
Radio Bob, Jean Le Pont, south of France.
Who would have ever thought?
Yeah. Manchester, Baltimore, USA. Uruguay, Lima in Peru. Streaming radio is just incredible. So
and you can do it from the comfort of your home as well. From just about anywhere.
Which is what I do.
When I listened to your story about how you created radio at the time, and I listened to how radio has evolved to now, us sitting in a car like this, it just blows my mind.
Isn't it unbelievable?
Unfreaking believable. So,
it really is.
How did you come up with your show name, bud?
So my show is called The College of Musical Knowledge.
Okay.
And because my job, that's why Hector brought me on the station, is, as I said, to teach the Radio Bob listeners like you where your music comes from. Now, I mean, it sounds arrogant. Who's this little whitey coming here telling me where my music comes from? Stuff you.
It's crazy.
That's how I would feel.
Yeah.
But I've had a fantastic reception from them, from the listeners. I mean, it's ridiculous. And in fact, if you listen this Sunday, what is the date today? The 5th.
Yeah, the 5th.
Sunday the 7th.
Yeah.
I'm going to play a blues song from 1970.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to play a rap song from 35 years later, in 2005. And you're going to see it uses exactly the same tune. There is no difference. Okay?
Yes.
Everything today comes from the blues. So it's called the College of Musical Knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm on air for 1 hour. It takes me 6 to 8 hours to prep that 1 hour. 6 to 8. So the hour you hear me. So I really put a lot of work into making sure that you understand what the music's about. And I mean,
that's unbelievable.
There's 3 things that I've learned in radio that I'm going to put out there. And the first is that you're in someone's lounge or in their bedroom. Think about it.
Yeah.
Your voice is right. I'm going to tell you a funny story about that now.
Yeah.
Bit of a naughty one.
Okay.
Am I allowed to get a little bit naughty?
No, get naughty, man.
Get naughty, come on.
We are authentic here.
We're authentic. We're amongst friends.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So you are actually in someone's lounge or in their bedroom. Think about it.
True.
For me, every Sunday night.
Yeah.
For someone like Sophie and Daba on the radio show. For Sophie, it's every single day, and for Hector.
Yeah.
So people get to know you. What do you talk to people about in their lounge? You talk about personal stuff.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
So I say, get personal. Don't just introduce the song. Let's bare your soul. You know, if it's a love song, I'm doing a song about it this weekend, about men with much younger girlfriends. I'm in that position.
Yes. I didn't know if you were going to open up about
I'm
that.
opening it up. I don't
Okay.
care. Life is life. It is what
How
it
is that, bud? So, okay, first let's, you
Yeah.
talk about that.
So I'm doing a song about
Okay.
it, and we're going to talk about it. What is it like to be a much younger woman, or a much older guy
Yeah.
in that relationship? Tell me about it,
And what is it like?
and let's chat about it. What is it like?
Yeah.
Well, it's fantastic. You're the older man. I can't speak for the younger woman.
Yeah.
So for me, the age gap is 30 years.
What?
It's a hell of a big. Obviously, it's of concern. My mother and father were about 21 years apart.
Yeah.
I have to say that probably seemed quite a lot. But today it's easier to get in tune with younger people
Yeah.
because you've got all access to what they do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
The
saying?
internet
Yeah,
has helped a
exactly.
lot.
So what I do is I make sure that I do stuff with her that she likes.
Oh.
You have to do that.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to do that. I mean, I
You
went
can't be,
No.
you can't be stuck in your own way.
Correct. My girlfriend happens to be huge. She's Malawian. She happens to be a huge music lover.
Yeah.
But obviously very different music to me. Big R&B hip hop fan. So I'll make an effort. As is my
And
daughter, by the
she's
way.
beautiful. She's a model, isn't she?
She's a beautiful girl. Yeah, she absolutely. Well, I mean, what do you expect with a male?
Yeah. Okay.
Come
Bud.
Yeah, come on. With a guy like this, I'm a very lucky man.
You can't
I
go
don't-
down. No.
I don't deserve it, but obviously, and I did this show about a month ago. You worry about it when you're an older guy, sort of approaching, I won't say the end,
Yeah.
because I hardly feel like I'm getting to the end, but you're in that last little sort of the exit lounge.
Yeah.
You want to really have a good time and enjoy it. It's the end. If you've got your health, you still can. I mean, I don't know if you know what Clint Eastwood's favourite saying is. He says, because they asked him, how do you stay in your 90s and be so cool? And he gave a brilliant piece of advice, and that is, don't let the old man in.
My
Good.
goodness.
Isn't that profound?
Don't let him
the
in.
old man in. You know,
It's
if you
so
say to yourself,
true,
hey,
right?
I've turned 60, I need to act like an old person.
Yeah.
Why?
It can't be.
Can't be. I mean, when I
can't be.
was 18, I liked beautiful girls,
Yeah.
soccer, and motorbikes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm 64. I like beautiful girls.
You 64?
I'm 64.
Oh my God. No.
Yeah, I like beautiful girls, soccer, and motorbikes.
It's still so.
Nothing has changed.
You know what I was actually saying to some boys yesterday was, as men, we are boys. We are young boys. We are young. We are kids at heart.
Yeah,
No matter how old you get.
exactly.
And so the trick is to continue to love the things you used to love as a boy, and you take them into your 60s, 70s, and you will forever be young.
I think that's the trick. I think you've summed it up perfectly. That's it. So you absolutely have to do that. And now I'm right there. I never believed I would be there. And now I'm right there. So I'm just getting back to the radio show.
Wait, hold on. Before you go there, so how do you feel when you're walking with your woman and guys are checking out? Do you turn around and look?
Sorry, message here to Sipo's wife.
Okay.
He's asking a lot of questions about young girls. Be afraid. Have a chat to him when he gets back. Just
Chat,
have a
maybe
chat.
you
I'm
might
getting nervous.
consider.
Okay, no, it's a
You
good
never know.
question. Ask me. Just ask me.
Yeah, so
Yep.
because I've got daughters who are
I've
almost
seen
as tall
pics,
as me.
Gorgeous girls. Yep. Stunning.
So whenever I walk with them and I check guys out, guys are always either checking them out, checking me out, asking themselves if I'm the boyfriend or what's going on. And then if I turn around, I see them turning and they're checking them. Then I sort of like get worked up a bit. And,
No, I get it, I
how
get
do you feel?
Well,
How do you?
I share your pain,
Yeah.
brother, because my daughter is an ice model.
Oh yes, of
Been
course.
modeling, as you
Yeah.
know, for many years. And
Yeah.
when I walk with her, obviously I see people. So I'm very happy for this grey hair that's popping through here because I can see, no, okay, that qualifies me as daddy, you know.
Yeah.
But obviously it's a very awkward kind of feeling when guys are looking at you.
Yeah.
And I guess that feeling happens with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
When I go out, I'm getting that perception.
Yeah, yeah.
And I hate it. I know
Yeah.
that people are saying, please, bless her.
Oh.
Isn't that the first thing that goes
Yeah.
through people's
Yeah.
minds?
Yeah. Yeah.
Older,
And
older
she's
white
black
man,
as
younger-
well.
She's black as well. She's Malawian.
So-
And so the first thing, bless her.
Yeah.
And she hates it.
Yeah.
And she's also had a few comments coming her way. You know, like, hey,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, leave the, well, what you didn't come back to the brother. What's wrong with the brothers?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's a
Yeah.
genuine love affair.
And
Simple, it's a genuine love affair.
and you know what's crazy is that, I mean, I'm also in an interracial relationship.
Yes,
Sorry.
I know you are, yeah.
And what I find is that, like you're saying, it's always these negative comments coming from people. Either colored people checking her out or checking me out and asking, or black people checking me out. You know, so it's always, you know, like it's an uncomfortable feeling. But I think in the beginning it was like that. Now I just really don't care. Like it's just like it's like water down my back. And you over it by now?
Oh, completely.
So you don't care?
No, it's been a few years now.
Yeah.
I really don't care. It's a very serious relationship.
Yeah.
Why should I care?
And your daughter's fine and your
My
family's
daughter's-
fine?
My daughter's absolutely fine. I mean, my daughter's,
Yeah.
I don't know, I think my daughter's got one white friend. You know, she doesn't know. I mean, she grew up in New South Africa.
Oh, yeah.
She went to Crawford College in Sandton, and no, her friends are, really doesn't, I don't think if she walked out of a room that she would even notice.
Oh, yeah.
If you said to her who was white, who was black, and who was Indian in the room, she wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
It's incredible what our country's come through, because
It's
a lot of my
unbelievable,
family's people are South Americans. I'm telling you, they're as white as I am, obviously, also
Yeah.
Jewish guys. And the example I just gave, I mean, if I take my cousin Marcel in South America, or my cousin Lillian, and we're in a room with people, they don't see color at all.
That's unbelievable.
It's like
man.
Brazil. Don't see color at all.
Yes.
Seriously, but us,
Yeah.
you know,
We're
why do you
stuck.
need those? We're stuck.
Yeah.
And
We're stuck.
we're not getting out of it. Do you notice it?
Yeah, no. We're not getting out of it.
We're not getting out of it.
I think it'll take a long time and it'll take a few people. So out of 10 people, probably 2 people will change quicker than the rest. In a very long time, you know. So
Yeah.
I think if I look at myself and I look at my mother and my father, they would never have believed that their son would be the way that I am.
Yeah, I get it.
And my grandmother would be shocked to find out how I've turned out. She'd be like, my son can chill with a white guy in the car. My son, my great-grandson or my grandson is married to a colored person.
Yeah.
I mean, she would be shocked. But that's how, you know, life just evolves.
I think my father would turn in his grave if he saw me with him along, and I have to be honest, you know.
Yeah.
So
He would be like,
maybe
what?
I'm underestimating him, but I mean,
Yeah.
those days he died in the 80s.
Yeah.
It just wasn't done.
No, it was
just
not.
wasn't done.
It wasn't
So,
done.
You know, but it's we. Do you think it's the politicians that are still keeping it going, or do you think people on the ground don't care, or do people on the ground still care about colour?
I think, you know, we only had a TRC, the Truth and Reconciliation, and there wasn't enough healing. Just like anybody who gets raped, who experiences murder, who experiences loss of a loved one, loss for anything, you need some kind of healing. And healing comes from people actually, those who are hurt must be able to be given a platform to talk about the pain that they've gone through. And there's not enough of that. There's not enough
you're
people
100%
expressing themselves about how did it make me feel? How did it, you know, so there's not enough healing. And as black people, white people, we carried on like nothing happened. Some of us were lucky in that we integrated very quickly. We could talk about how we felt. We could demystify. Because I grew up with white people, I could speak to white people easily and it healed me quicker. Then I realized, no man, not all white people are racist. Not all white people are like that. Look how they've taken me in.
Yeah.
A black poor boy, they took me to their house. They taught me, they gave me shelter, they gave me food. They, you know, and I still, like that family, that Dos Santos family, they for me changed my life.
Amazing. No, I
You
mean,
know.
look how profound this guy is. I don't know why are you interviewing me?
No, because
Actually,
you've got an interesting story than
you
mine.
need to be no, but in line with what you're saying, so obviously I went to the apartheid army
Yeah.
in the very worst of times, 76, 77, 78.
Yes.
Middle of the 76 riots.
Yeah.
It was a brutal time. And you talk about healing. So obviously I'm not going to claim to be a victim because
Yeah.
I don't come from the victim class at all. You 100% do. Lying sort of under a bunk listening to radio pop in those days. I still lived in a lovely home when I wasn't in the army. But you come out of school. I went to a nice middle class Jewish school.
Yeah.
You come out of school, and I remember I went to the army on the 7th of January. 7th of Jan. So when did I get out of school? 10th of December. Went from this to this brutal
Extreme
environment. I'm in there for 2 years, 8 months.
Yeah.
My last day, what happens? Goodbye, here's your belongings, take it, thank you very much, have a nice life.
Just like that.
So you don't get reintegrated back in. So,
Yeah.
like I said, I don't want to use the word victim because people are going to scream at me,
Yeah.
but it stuffed us up. So a whole generation, my
Yeah.
generation of South Africans, boys, came out stuffed.
No, it's true.
We had to be.
I've got a few white mates that I grew up with. So I've got another one. He's 55, right?
Yeah.
So we became friends about 10 years ago. Crazy. He looks like a Dutchman, but he's got a big ass mustache like this. His name is Dave Jews.
Yeah.
You and him will get along like a house on fire because I get along with him. He's crazy.
Yeah.
Naughty ass.
Yeah.
And he's like really naughty. He loves girls. And he was telling me, being an English boy, so we went to the same school, but he went there like in the 80s. I went there in the 90s, right?
Okay.
And then when we got to be friends, he was like, Sip, how crazy is that you and I connected through politics? And I went to Florida Park years before you, and you came years after me, and we clicked like that. And then he tells me how he used to go to English school, and then there was an Afrikaans school, Florida Hoër school, and then having to go to the army being an English guy. Like how they used to be teased being an English speaking in an Afrikaans orientated army.
Yeah.
So, and then he was telling me about the dynamics of just being English speaking and how he never got healed from that on his own.
Sibo, can I tell you this? I was more scared of the Afrikaans guys in my camp than I was of the enemy when I was in the army.
Are you serious?
They used to literally beat us up in our beds. They used to call us soties, and they were a brutal bunch back in those days. You know, today it's obviously everything's changed.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy.
So your friends are 100% right.
And also my so like I said, this family that I grew up with, the 3 were girls, the 2 were boys. So the 4th guy, he went to the army. His name was Ricky DeSantis. Well, that's his name.
Yeah.
Now Ricky is a Porra. He looks more Portuguese and close to his dad than Edward.
Yeah.
Edward looks more English like his mom. So now Ricky, having dark hair, looking like a Porra, he had it tough in the army because he's not only not English, but he's like a Porra looking in the army.
No, you're on a hiding to nothing. You're on a hiding to nothing.
He used to tell me horrible stories of what he went through, you know. And but he also told me about I could see how the army changed him from how he used to make his bed. When he finished matric and he went to the army, and then he became a completely different guy. He used to make his bed.
Of course.
His boots were so polished.
Polish your shoes, iron your shirts.
Like, he was a completely different guy, but also mentally it sort of hit him hard, you know. It's crazy how these stories are not told, and that's why
They're not.
healing never really takes place, because
Now, I guess, and I guess it lands up with us in interracial relationships. That affects us, guys like us.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the music and radio, because I think that's another line that I find fascinating about you and your stories. Now, where do you see your show going? I mean,
I'll tell you what, it's a good question. So, like I said, I just want to finish on that point, that where I try to differentiate is also people are busy, like on a Sunday Eve. We're busy all the time.
Yeah.
It's for me, it's such a chance to take that people are actually going to come in and listen to you and remember you.
Yeah.
If you're running a weekly show. So I actually go out and fetch them. So I keep thousands of people,
Yeah.
Whoever I meet, if I meet some, if I was in the KFC here, I took their numbers.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
They go into my WhatsApp groups on Sunday. So wherever I go, and I get thousands and thousands of people, and I tell them, this is what I'm going to be talking about. If you like what it sounds like, come into the show.
And people stay in the groups.
People stay in the groups. 100%. The loyalty is... I'll tell you how loyal... See, when you get personal with people, this is how loyal they get. And I'm happy to show it to you.
Yeah.
This last Sunday evening at about 5:30, I got 3 people sending messages in saying, sorry, I can't make the show this weekend.
Oh, that's so great.
I mean, how great it makes me feel.
Yeah.
But the guy actually, who apologizes? It's
yeah.
your life. You don't have to apologize to me
Like
what you're doing
what?
with your life. But I'm really sorry. Just I hope you don't realize that I'm not in the show.
Yeah.
Okay? But that is how beautiful it is when you... And I think that comes from being totally personal.
Yeah.
And I bare my soul.
Yeah.
Because the blues is music that bears its soul.
That's so
it
true.
demands it. Okay?
You cannot not be authentic and real to the blues.
Correct. Look at blues players.
Yeah.
They're not... I've got one... I don't want to sound like an old fart here, but I've got one big criticism of the hip-hop industry, and that is how much they push brands.
It's true.
And they talk about money. I don't, maybe I'm missing a point here, and I go on about my daughter. You know, don't talk about Versace. Versace is some white boy in Europe. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's made his own money. Now you're helping him make money with your free advertising. I don't get how that works.
Yeah.
Blues
Yeah.
is none. Blues are poor people. And they take pride in being poor but respectful, and they're respected. And so for me, that's where you keep using the word authentic. The blues is authentic music.
It's authentic
Got to
music.
be real, baby.
You've got to be real. I spoke to, remember, Smoke when I had him in
Smoke.
the car.
Oh, he's getting Smoke on the show, no question about it.
Yes.
Yeah. What an outstanding human being.
What an outstanding guy. And that's what I felt, that he's real to the music.
Yeah.
Like you say, I mean, no disrespect to hip hop. It's like, it's so plastic in a way that it's all about, look at me, look how I look at my clothes, look what I got, look at my watch, look at my car, look at my house, look at the girls. It's not about, this is who I am. That's why maybe I think hip hop died when Tupac and Biggie died.
Of course. By the way, I love Tupac.
You know,
authentic for me is a street poet, one of the great street poets of all time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why I felt he connected with so many people. Till today, people speak about his music and speak about him. They replay. I was checking TikTok. They're replaying some of his videos of his interviews. And he died at like 25.
Exactly.
25,
Guys
27
like
years
don't
ago.
Go away. From my era, it was Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, Jimi Hendrix.
No flash about Jimmy.
Yo.
He just loved playing guitar. The excitement around Jimmy. Jimmy was the Tupac, I believe, of that day.
But Jimmy was crazy though.
Crazy, wild, fantastic.
He was wild.
Unbelievable. But, you know, on that point, I mean, so here I am growing up. Let's say in 1973, I'm in my room, apartheid South Africa. No black people at my school, not one black friend. Who are my global heroes on the wall? So I've got the big, in those days we buy, I don't know if kids still do it, they put posters. We used to put posters all over our walls. Our walls. I had 3 people on my wall. Okay? I had Jimi Hendrix.
No ways, but
I had Muhammad Ali. And I had Pele. Alan, if you're listening, my brother, you'll remember that. And I had Pele. All 3.
Black guys.
Now, so politics can do anything.
Yeah.
But what's in your heart's in your heart. Those were the greatest of their kind.
Yeah.
In their fields in the world, and so you follow them.
Absolutely.
You don't give a crap if they're black or white or pink or Indian or Chinese.
No, it's true.
But they're the greatest.
It's how they impacted the world through their God-given talents.
Exactly right.
It was not about their political views. It was about their God-given talents and living true to them.
Exactly.
And as you line those 3 up, I'm thinking Bob Marley could be there somewhere.
Oh, definitely. Oh, please.
Bob Marley.
Bob Marley, I mean, what a man.
Yeah, see.
What does one say about Bob Marley? And Bob Marley crossed that reggae music, sort of crossed over from blues and jazz into rock.
Yeah.
And he was the crossover guy that every white man loved and every black man loved.
That's true.
You know.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, you also talk about those 3 guys you had on the walls. I mean, those guys were, I grew up, like I said, with white people. Like Edward, my friend, used to love playing guitar. Yeah. And Jimi Hendrix was like an idol of his as well. So it was really just not about race. It was about how these people touched everyone's lives at the time.
So to answer your question, because I took a long time to get it, where do I see the state? Where do I see it going? That's me. I just ramble and talk rubbish. That's why my show was called Ronnie's Rubbish.
You're a storyteller, bud.
is that, so here's my big sense of disappointment.
Okay.
And I'm looking at you as well now.
Okay.
Why is my show 80% white and only 20% black? Where I want to take it is the other way around.
Yeah.
I want my African brothers to think, hey, the blues, check, don't worry about fine. We've all listened to 50 Cent, and I'm going back in history now, 50 Cent. But our guys,
Yeah.
you must listen to Muddy Waters or Howlin' Wolf. Listen to
Yeah.
my new Howlin' Wolf track.
Yeah.
That's when I know I'll have achieved my goal
Yeah.
on Radio Bop, the incredible Radio Bop.
That's amazing, bud.
That's it. That's it. You guys, this is your music. It's not mine.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
mine. The music belongs to you.
I think what you're doing,
Completely to you.
you know, like, I mean, you were in advertising.
Yep.
You got to be repeating the message over and over in order
Yeah.
for you to get through to
You're
people.
right. Consistency.
Consistency is
and
key.
just get through, you know.
It's-
And for
it's-
me to hear that you were in the show.
Yeah.
By the way, Sipo, big contributor to my show. Love the messages he sends in.
Yeah.
To know that you listen to the stuff.
I love
and,
it, bud.
and appreciating it.
You played a poem on last week Sunday.
From Nigeria.
Like, I listened to that woman. I was like,
Ayoko. Listen to Ayoko, people.
like, tell us about that story. I mean, I think you can recite it a little bit better.
Yes, well, I mean...
How did you choose that story, actually?
Well, firstly, it was Women's Month.
Oh, yeah,
And
it was
my
the
show was
introduction. Yeah.
dedicated, so we're now in Women's Month.
Yeah, Happy Women's Month.
Happy Women's Month.
We love the ladies.
Yeah, we love the ladies. From a very handsome guy in front.
There we
Yeah,
go.
Not so handsome in the back.
No,
So
come on, you're playing, bud.
And this guy's intimidating. I tell you, he's like...
I must get to your age, then we must talk.
Yeah, fair enough. Do you remember the Shaft movies, John Shaft?
Yeah, yeah.
He was like the Black James Bond.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, of
here we go.
course.
John Shaft in the front here. C4 Shaft.
Let's go.
Yeah, there you go. And so it was Ladies' Month, so I dedicated my last show
Yeah.
to Women's Month.
Yeah.
And I know Ayoko very well. She's the top blues soul singer. Happens to be completely gorgeous as well. Her name is
If you have to say so.
If I have to say so. I didn't really notice girlfriend really knows. And I've known her poetry. I happen to love poetry. And I always read the lyrics out.
Yes, you do.
Because
yeah.
how can you understand music when you don't know
Yeah.
what the guy's actually singing about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when I listened to her, she's a street poet. And that was about women. That was about a beautiful African woman being worried about her Africanness. Is my nose too flat?
Oh,
Are my lips too big? Are you kidding me?
yo.
Okay. Is my butt too big?
Ah.
And it's a beautiful poem. And then her ancestors come back and tell her, no, there are men all over the world dreaming about kissing your lips.
Ah,
How beautiful is that?
ah,
Dreaming
oh,
about
oh.
touching your hand,
Just,
about feeling your smooth velvet skin.
ah,
I mean, don't you love that?
that's amazing.
That is amazing stuff.
I had-
I'm a hopeless romantic, so anyway, that's
I
how it
had-
gets to me.
No, but like I seriously sat there in awe, and I'm like, this man is like a genius. Like, people don't know how much you pour into your show, how much you pour into the music, and how
I pour my heart into the
real you pour. Because as you talk, like, I just sit there and I listen and I imagine. And when I heard that poem, I was like, oh my God, so many black women actually do feel like that.
How many millions
Still
of black
do.
women still do, and are concerned about their blackness. But I'll tell you what's changing massively.
Yeah.
Have a look at the Miss, because I love those shows.
Oh.
Miss Universe and Miss World. Look at the percentage now of dark skin. So
That's
the
true.
global idea of beauty
Yeah,
is
it's
not.
changing.
And also, I was interested with my friends who came through the apartheid era.
Yeah.
The Miss South Africa, who won Miss World 2 years ago. What
Oh,
was her name?
Zonzi.
Zonzi.
Zibini,
Zonzi.
yeah.
Every single guy, to a man, said, that girl's magnificent.
Oh, really, eh?
All of a sudden, a bald girl with all the Africanness about her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now I see the guys, yeah, she's magnificent.
Yes.
That's why I appreciate my girlfriend so much. I mean, you've met her.
No,
I
absolutely.
mean, that is African beauty. You
That's
can't
it.
go beyond that. I mean, how the hell did this land up with that?
How did you get so lucky,
Yeah,
bud?
So can you just pinch me quickly?
Yeah, like,
Thank
come
you, thank
on,
you.
bud.
Good,
It's
thanks,
real,
I need
yeah,
it. Is it
okay.
real? You
Yeah,
promised
yeah,
me.
no, I felt-
I'm not going to wake
You
up.
felt it, right?
I felt it. What a fantastic guy this is, yeah.
But listen, bud, like, I mean, just going back to that poem, is that
Yeah.
I think what stood out for me is how, for years, black women felt like their hair was not beautiful enough.
Yes.
Like you say, the nose is too big. My lips are too thick. My skin is too dark. I need to whiten my skin. And we've seen a huge number of women just whitening their skin.
What is that?
Like, how
I don't know if we're allowed to mention one who happens to be at the moment in the...
Please do.
Yeah, in my Kanye Mbao. She's a beautiful woman. I watch her in The Wife. She was outstanding.
Who's that?
Kanye.
Kanye Mbao. Oh, yes, yeah.
Why did she do that?
Like...
Can someone explain to me?
She doesn't realize that when you whiten your skin, now you're going to have problems with the sun. Now you're going to be like worried about being in the sun for too long.
Of course. I mean, there's a beautiful, talented black African woman.
Yeah.
Why do that? Come on.
But I must say, I'm just trying to put a disclaimer here, is that my daughter said to me, Dad, you have no opinion speaking about women. She's like,
yeah, I think my daughter probably
she's like, you can't talk about our skin, our bodies, I don't know. Why? Because you don't understand our problems. So, but we appreciate women. So you appreciated that poem. Now, if you didn't, so daughter, okay,
if Daddy didn't care about women deeply, he wouldn't have appreciated that poem. It would have gone in. And by the way, I got a couple of messages saying, "What is that poetry nonsense? Get on with the music."
Oh.
I got a couple of messages.
Really, yeah?
Okay, yeah. And you are sitting here saying, wasn't that fantastic? And it's stuck in your mind.
It's stuck in my mind.
Yeah.
It stood out for me.
Yeah.
Because I realized that even music comes from poem or poetry.
What are lyrics? They're poems.
Exactly. Before you
100%.
get the beat, you jump onto a beat, you start writing it down. It has to tell a story. Okay, some genres that don't really tell a story.
It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You're going to listen to... I went to my first house thing just to keep my girlfriend happy.
A house?
House, it was trance house or whatever the hell you call it, or deep trance. It was actually very good. Yeah. But I mean, that's just diff. It's computer generated stuff.
Yeah.
But I get there's a place for it.
No, there's a place for it.
Yeah.
We can't all be in a jazz or blues or R&B mood. There's a mood
all the time, exactly.
for all the different genres.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so what would you say, like, for music? You've spoken about how hip hop has taken from the blues.
Yeah.
What other genres? The rock also took from the blues. What other genres?
Well, rock completely, 100%. I don't know if you know, the biggest band in the world are called the Rolling Stones.
Oh yeah.
They've just done their 60th anniversary tour. It finished last week of Europe. They've been on the road for 60 years. Mick Jagger last week turned 79.
No flipping ways.
Now, do you know how? By the way, he averages 12.2 kilometers a night on the stage.
What?
79, okay? And that's when you're doing what you're passionate about. Okay?
Unbelievable.
Keeps you young.
And they're still getting booked. People still coming to the shows.
Biggest grossing shows on earth. 79 years old.
Unbelievable.
But the point I make, because I'm answering your question here, is that what other genres? So these were two little white pimply faced boys who were they were at university, first year university in London, and they were standing at a station in England called the Dartford Station.
Okay.
And they'd gone to school many years together, but they hadn't seen each other for quite a few years. They were 17 or 18 years old. The one guy had a Muddy Waters, Mick Jagger had a Muddy Waters album under his arm.
Yeah.
And Keith Richard had a Howlin' Wolf record under his arm. And they looked at each other, and Mick said, I thought I was the only guy who listened to black music. It was taboo in those days.
Yes.
Taboo. We don't understand what England of the 1950s was like. And they were so happy to find each other. And Mick said, actually, I sing along in the bathroom to this. And Keith Richards said, actually, I play a little bit of guitar. And they landed up in a band together.
Yes.
They never composed a song for the first 3 or 4 years of their lives. They only played American blues.
Oh my God.
And and I want you guys watching this. Go on YouTube, Muddy Waters, Rolling Stones. It's going to come up with the Rolling Stones, because the blues took a complete dive in the 70s. No one was listening to it.
Yeah.
And Muddy Waters was playing these small little clubs. And Muddy Waters is a god. I don't speak of him as a human.
Yeah.
Simple. He's a god. And he is especially to Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. And they wanted to uplift him. And they got to Chess Records. And the guy was painting the walls. He was on a ladder painting.
Muddy Waters.
Muddy Waters. And they went into a club where he was playing that night. A small little club. Tiny little thing. and they got on stage with him. And
Why?
they sang with him, and they said, "Come on, you know what a privilege." Stuff being the Rolling Stones. This is the God of music, not us. Okay, and so the Stones also influence a lot of music. So gospel and blues comes out of gospel, by the way.
Okay.
Now I don't know if you're a religious guy. I'm not.
Yeah.
But if there was no gospel music and without the church, so people like Tina Turner come straight out of the church.
Yeah.
Beyonce, straight. They started in the church choirs.
It's true.
That's where they started.
And they were always told, don't go play that secular music or that evil music.
That evil music.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Unbelievable.
No, in fact, the blues queen, her name was Big Mama Thornton as well. She was called the Queen of the Mississippi Blues. Of the Swamp Blues. Katie Webster.
Okay.
Her parents wouldn't let her play music without someone sitting next to her in case she played the blues, because that was the devil's music.
Ah,
The devil's music.
unbelievable.
Yeah. So
But-
jazz comes out. Jazz comes as well.
Yeah.
Is also a derivative of the blues. You
Hip
know the
hop.
difference between jazz and blues? I don't know if you know the difference.
I can hear the difference, but I can't tell you the
I'll
difference.
tell you the difference.
Okay.
Jazz has got 3,000 chords with 3 people in the audience, and blues has got 3 chords with 3,000 people in the audience. Okay? Sorry, jazz fans, but this year is a big is a big blues fan. So, a lot of music, and I've even played classical music that went with. I played, James Brown.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Oh,
he played.
yeah.
Pavarotti invited James Brown because he wanted to sing "It's a Man's World."
oh my
So
word.
they got a guy from Italy steeped in classical music, and he wants to play. He's watching TV, sees this maniac James Brown,
Who used to dance like crazy.
the minister of super heavy funk.
Yeah.
And Pavarotti wants to.
He was
play
a
with it.
pimp of all pimps.
He was the king pimp. Okay?
He was the king
In
pimp.
jail, out of jail, getting into fights, getting out of fights.
Loved women like crazy.
Like mad, just a real blues man.
Yes.
And you got Luciano Pavarotti, one of the greatest opera singers of all time, who invites him and says, "Please, will you let me sing your song?"
Yes.
So for me, every single music genre
Yeah.
can do something out of the blues,
Yeah.
without
Yeah.
a doubt. But especially R&B,
And
soul
hip-hop.
music, and hip hop.
It's true.
And hip hop. Please listen to my show, Sunday, 7th of Radio Bob streaming radio. You're going to hear 2 songs played next to each other that are going to demonstrate that to you without any shadow of a doubt.
I was watching some documentaries on some of the hip hop stars now, Jay-Z,
Yep.
Puff Daddy,
Yep.
and
Legendary guys, the fathers.
and Kanye West. And what I realized is that they sampled the blues in so many songs
Of course.
that people don't even know today that they are samples.
Of course.
And it's just the inspiration of going back and taking from that music and the inspiration and modernize it a bit and just give it a bit of an up-tempo feel.
Of course.
And then it's modern music to reach to these young people. So do you think music is going to change because it's changed a lot?
Look, it's changed massively. I agree with you totally. And it's in some places changed for the good, and in some places changed for the bad. The good for me is, here's my music collection.
Yeah.
7,000 songs.
Carrying
I'm
it
carrying
with
it
you.
carrying it with me. Now before, you couldn't. You had a record player, the records got damaged.
Yeah.
So now you can only play them so often they started to get scratched.
Yeah.
And now I've got everything in front of me. And when I'm standing chatting to a guy like you, I can say, "Have you heard the latest?" You'll say no. So hold on a sec, let me pull it up.
Let me play it.
Before, you couldn't do any of that.
And also remember the days of the Walkman when you had a cassette tape.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to carry like 5 cassettes to be able to listen to them while you're walking.
Yeah. And then to find the song you want.
Yeah. Then,
Don't forget that. With
Yeah.
the cassette, you go forward, fast forward.
Yes.
Until you get to the song you want, So for me, music industry is fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it.
yeah.
But I do think that, it's hard to make a living now as a
Yeah.
music star. Gee whiz.
That was going to be my next question, is the business of music.
The business of music has taken a massive hit. A massive.
For the worst or for the good?
No. I think it's harder to. I do think it's harder to break through now.
Yeah.
Because so many people are doing exactly the same thing, and let me tell you, music industry companies are brutal. You've seen the fight they've had with iTunes.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, iTunes doesn't care about you.
No.
Yeah, neither does Spotify. They care about themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's hard. But then I guess on the upside, it's so easy to find stuff. You know, people send me requests. Where would I have found them in the past? You know what I do now?
Yeah.
While I'm running the show, I put it into the little box with the little magnifying glass,
Yeah.
and up it comes. Doesn't matter how obscure it is.
It's so true. I mean, well, you know, on the positive side, for some young creatives, what they were telling me is that they were saying, "Hey, Prasiti, today we can create music in our own bedrooms, release it, register it, everything and market it from our own bedrooms."
That is the upside.
And-
Fantastic.
And he says,
Yeah, that is the upside.
I can
without a
put it
shadow of a
on
doubt.
Apple Tunes, iTunes. I can put it on Spotify, on YouTube Music. I don't need a record label.
Yeah.
I don't need a middleman. I don't need a manager. I don't need all of these other people. I can do everything. I can,
That's without a shadow of a doubt. That's the upside.
you know,
Brilliant.
and then
Brilliant.
I can manage and own everything.
And
Whereas
make a lot of money.
and make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like I was with these young cats yesterday. Well, I call them cats when I'm with them.
Like cats, man. Like cats. Yeah.
So he says to me, he's like, yeah, you know, I just realized something, Brasit. You know, I was checking out on TikTok. I can now, he says, I'm dropping my songs on Spotify. I'm dropping it on all these other platforms. Now I can drop it on TikTok. And when I drop my video on TikTok, I'm playing my song. If you watch my music, if you watch my video, you equally streaming my music. So if I have 700 views, it's 700 streams.
Yeah.
And he says, where do people spend most time, especially young people now? On TikTok.
Yeah.
He's
Exactly.
like, that's where their interest is.
Yeah.
And then it will lead them to all the other platforms like Spotify and all of that stuff. He was like so excited about it. He's like, I'm dropping 15 songs on Spotify, on TikTok.
On TikTok, yeah.
So, that's more or less the upside. The only thing is that the older guys are saying, but man, I remember the days I used to sell my music from my boot.
Used to. Yeah.
Boot of my car. I
Yeah.
used to have 100
No,
CDs.
the access today, I have to say, is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
But, radio is still relevant, massively relevant.
Yeah.
But radio is genuinely a very relevant thing.
Absolutely. Now, you know, my next question is, I know I spoke to Hector about it, is
Yeah.
will Radio Bob ever consider going back to an FM? Because I know that digital is the future, but I don't know if we're quite there yet.
No. So I can't answer for Hector, obviously, but I know he's certainly looking at FM, and he's looking at things like DSTV as well.
Yeah.
Because DSTV is a place where these things are,
Yeah.
where radio shows are listened to
That's true.
in a big way. You know,
Yeah.
you walk inside, you listen to Radio 702 interview, for instance.
Yeah.
They're interviewing Sipho, and now I've got to get from my house inside. Now I'm either sitting in my garage waiting to go in because I want to hear the end of the interview.
Yeah.
I can just go inside. Most people don't have radios at home anymore. Think
No,
about
they
it.
don't.
Who's got a radio?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So I'll go to my
I don't have a
DSTV,
radio at home.
or I'll go live streaming here.
Yeah.
One of the two. So I definitely think that FM is
Yeah.
still, if you can do both, FM and streaming,
Yeah.
you're going to capture a massive audience.
And I think the problem also is that, you know, I was chatting to somebody about how ICASA is a bit slow on opening up the FM, because now there's not enough FM frequencies.
Yes.
So
They're used up, eh?
They're used up.
They are used up.
So you've got, unless you're trying to come up with a community radio station, and then you only have a license for a small radius of your community, and even so, it's very difficult to get an FM. It's impossible. Whereas we could get the DTT, the digital terrestrial,
Yep.
to be opened up so that you now have more frequencies on the FM route, so that, you know, more people can play at the FM
Absolutely.
Because how many cars are on the road? How many people still listen to radio in their homelands?
Of course.
You know, we are nowhere near, especially if you look at the rural areas. People are still there. They still listen to FM. They trust FM.
Yeah.
And
they ain't with streaming radio. There's no Wi-Fi out there. They're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so, if only ICASA could look at things like that. I mean, I was chatting to somebody else about this, that if only, we could look at, especially government, from a spending point of view, a place like Radio Bob, online radio stations, online podcasts, they're not advertising on these platforms.
No, not at all. Exactly.
And they're underestimated.
And why not? It's totally underestimated.
Totally underestimated. Because what I always said is that your online and podcast is your captive audience.
Yep.
It's people who will listen and they won't move because they're spending data and they want to hear and they want to listen and they're loyal. Whereas with a lot of FM radio, people quickly, they're like, I don't like this song, I don't like this DJ.
Yep.
There's no connection there.
Off, moving on.
Moving on.
Yeah.
And so, if only they could start looking at online and saying, how do we start advertising and create a business out of this potential business of online? Because it's suffering also at the moment. I saw Tibo Touch had to close down the doors.
I know. I saw that. And also the big difference with online is, so let's say you're listening to me on my phone and I'm talking about something, a product that you're interested in. All you do is go into phone, instantaneous.
Yeah.
It's not like you're on the radio, you're listening in your car and there's a new motorbike you want to buy. By the time you've gotten out of your car, your phone's rung twice.
Yeah.
You've shot into the office, someone's grabbed you, you've forgotten about it.
Yeah.
Here, the buying decision is made the second you hear about it.
You ain't marketing.
Huge difference.
How and you're quite right. You ain't marketing, but marketers don't see it that way. Like agencies are still not looking.
They absolutely should. I'm telling you, I've got a 15-minute rule in business. Same when someone calls in for a quote.
Yeah.
If you're not back to them in 15 minutes, you've lost them. Don't bother, they've moved on. People want stuff to happen immediately now.
Instant.
The whole world, it's an instant world. Exactly right. So they're totally wrong. This kind of what you're putting out the podcast, and if you're advertising something in a podcast, imagine the guy can just click through and he gets straight to the product with all the specs and features in front of you, plus the pricing, plus price comparisons.
It's true.
Now, you can't compare that to listening to something on standard FM radio.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about another side of you. You're also an entrepreneur. You're a businessman.
Yes, I've been in business for many, many years. In fact, I've come very much through the corporate field.
Okay.
Very much through the corporate field. I started my working life with Woolworths, University of Retail.
Oh, really?
Yep.
My word!
I was a shelf packer. Little green outfit. Used to go in at 4:00 in the morning in Cape Town to Woolworths, Plain Street. Oh, those were days. So I've had quite a varied career.
You built yourself up.
I wouldn't change a thing. I started there packing shelves.
Yeah.
From there, I stayed in retail for a few years. I became the PA to the CEO of CNA, a chap called James Lohman. Back
No ways.
CNA, that was great. And CNA was big in music in those days.
Yes.
I'll tell you, when Thriller came out,
oh yeah,
our profits tripled. Everyone came in to buy
Really?
the Thriller album. Those were the good old
CNA
days.
used to sell music also.
Yep. And of course, magazines were big.
Yeah.
In I think it was about 1985, Steve Mulholland, who was then the editor of the Financial Mail, a very powerful business magazine, still around. And he also became the CEO of Times Media. Him and I got into a big argument in a shop at the Carlton Hotel. And the next day I get a phone call from all the business. It came through the business, there were no cell phones, saying he'd like to see me in his office. And he offered me a job. He said no one ever stands up to him. I didn't even realise it. I just got a little bit uptight. I also went into a temper when he started shouting at me. I didn't even know who the guy was. And anyway, I became sort of the circulation head of Financial Mail. It was a nice position to be in.
Yes.
And then floated into Times Media, Sunday Times. The office next to me was the Miss South Africa office.
No way,
Imagine
bud.
a single boy.
They used to come
in his
all the
30s.
way.
So it's for 14 years.
No
involved
ways.
with, South Africa. Hello, Vanessa Shamali. Thanks for including me in your job. And I bumped into an old Miss South Africa, funny enough, in a restaurant. She sat a few other nights. She remembered me.
Yes,
Lorna Potgieter. Hello, Lorna, if you're watching. It was lovely to see
Are these the chicks you also
years.
used to...
I thought I was the man.
And
Trust
you
me,
were.
I wasn't. I wasn't.
But you had the job. You had a top job.
I did.
And the looks.
Well, when I was younger, definitely I was devastated. I think I was a cross between George Clooney and
Yes,
American, huh?
I can believe it, man.
So I did that I was in financial and publishing for many years.
Yeah.
Then I broke away, started my own business called National Circulation Services, where we took on any business that wanted to have their magazines. We had a lot of top magazines.
Okay.
And then because I was financial publishing, I was in financial publishing, I got offered a job by a company that wanted to list called Tarsus. You might have seen Tarsus Technologies
Oh, yes.
on the side of the highway near
Yes.
Midrand. And I had a very happy career there.
They wanted to list?
They listed the business on the stock
Jersey.
exchange.
Okay.
A very interesting guy by the name of Leo Baxter.
Okay.
He was a brilliant entrepreneur and also the playboy of the Western world.
No ways.
Oh, man.
Ah.
He had the polo fields going, the 3,000 square meter home going, with a polo field in the back, Ferraris.
He was
Maseratis.
Hugh Hefner.
He was the... Google Leo Baxter, guys.
I'm going to check him out.
Google him out. He was the man. I can tell you stories of parties at that house.
What?
I'm not going to because my daughter's listening. And he was incredible, and I stuck with Leo for quite a few years.
Yeah.
And that was built into a multi-billion rand business,
Yes.
which eventually Investec took over. And then I got into finance, and I started an asset finance business with the backing of Tarsus and Investec, and I was there for 10 years. So I've always gotten into businesses that I've known nothing about.
How the heck do you do that?
Always, and I'm now in an incredible business.
Okay.
Where I do know something about it, and that's the IT rental business, a business called Go Rentals.
Okay.
And in fact, the last 3 or 4 elections we've done all the notebooks you see in the centres. Where the
Oh, the
guys are
IECs.
IECs. In fact, it's IECs our customer. We do all of that business.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so that's become that's how I've sort of morphed on, and all the way through, I've kept my love for music. It's never gone away. Is your love for music ever going to go away?
No.
If you're
It
emotionally
can't.
involved,
It can't.
it can't. It can't.
I've always said I love music. I know I'm not a musician. I can't play an instrument. I can't sing for nothing.
Yep.
But I love music.
Yep.
It's like music is me. It's like I'm music.
It's your life.
Yeah.
What would
yeah.
life be? Do you ever drive without music?
I can't.
I don't.
I can't.
I don't.
I can't.
Yeah, I don't even ride my motorbike. So what I do for pleasure is 2 wheels.
Yeah.
I've got a Harley Davidson and a Vespa scooter,
Oh my God.
and both of them have got speakers and sound systems.
No ways.
No way.
Ah.
Oh, hell yes.
Ah.
Hell yes. So
Yes.
when I'm going through the fields and the farms of Magaliesburg,
Yeah.
I've got Muddy Waters with me.
So is it one of those
Yes,
big Harleys with the speakers
Yeah, it's
all
one
around?
of the big Harleys,
Surround
and I've
sound.
got, no, this one not surround sound.
Okay.
I've got 2 beautiful Harman Kardon speakers right in front of me.
No ways,
Yeah,
man.
and I mean, what a
What
beautiful
colour
thing.
is it?
It's black.
Oh, why would I even ask?
Colour of my girlfriend.
Yeah,
Right?
come on now.
What's the colour of my Vespa?
Black.
You said it.
Oh,
There
does
you
it
go.
have
There you
white
go.
holes?
It
Oh, it's
has-
not.
No.
Oh, it's not the white hole ones.
No.
Oh, okay,
It's
okay.
not that one.
Yeah.
So
Is it the original Vespa? The old ones? Or is it a new
no,
Vespa?
it's a new version.
Okay,
Vespa
okay.
have kept their shape.
Yes,
So
they've kept the
it went
shape.
from
Yeah.
like single stroke to 2-stroke, and then
Yeah.
and then to my Vespa.
And they're not bad in terms of speed. I mean, it's what you can do 120,
You
130?
You can do 120.
Yeah.
What a cool brand.
Yes.
I mean, is there any cooler brand?
And they're not cheap either, but
They're not cheap, but if you think about aspirational brands, like a Harley,
Yeah.
for instance,
Yeah.
it's still a hell of a lot cheaper. So if you're paying 130k
yeah.
for, and you want to own an aspirational brand, what's better than a Vespa?
No, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to go and buy a new Mercedes-Benz for $1.5 million.
And it's going to drop in value.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly
quicker
right.
than
Like a sack of potatoes.
like
baby.
quickly.
Yeah.
And people don't understand the value of I mean, you are in asset finance and not vehicle finance, but just
Not
asset
vehicle,
finance.
no, asset finance, yeah.
And people don't understand how the finance world is like, that it's a business. that you who get financed
course.
are not necessarily the winner in what you think is an asset.
Yeah, especially if you're taking a big residual. You get these youngsters,
Yes.
they come out of varsity, get their first job, you have to be in the brand new BMW, they can cruise down Vilakazi Street and impress the girls.
Yo.
By the way, that's a big hangout of mine. I love Vilakazi Street.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if you get down there.
Yeah, I
I
do.
recommend it.
Yeah.
Some nice new restaurants
Absolutely.
to check out.
It's like a long street of Soweto.
That's what it is, yeah.
It's you can walk all the way down and go
You
party,
can.
party.
Party,
Okay,
no, absolutely.
maybe just drive or walk.
Yep.
And then go party with some more. Incredible. So I know there's a lot that I want to ask you about. Like you've got your story is like crazy. I want to go back to one particular story
Yep.
that you wanted to share. As a boy, you were very naughty. You loved the girls. Do you still remember the first girl that you were with when you first lost your virginity?
I'm
I
going
know
to
it's a
remember.
tough ask.
No, it's a tough ask. I mean, who asked these questions? Okay, my mom's in the old age home, Cape Town. Please, lock your ears.
It's not about you.
Yeah, it's definitely not about you.
Turn around.
I do remember the first girl. It was nerve-wracking, but what preceded that was a lot worse. Okay. So
Okay.
yeah, I was a very, very naughty. I was never very academic.
Okay.
I was I was an extremely naughty boy, and put my parents through the ringer in those days. It was impossible. My brother, by the way, the exact opposite, very academic, brilliant.
A good kid, a good child.
He was a good boy.
Older or younger?
Younger,
Okay.
racked up a lot of degrees. I was the exact opposite. For me, my life was the pursuit of pleasure. Okay? Whatever needed to be done was the pursuit of pleasure. I'm not sure much has changed,
Okay.
to be honest, but I'll answer that question. So I went to a nice Jewish school, as I mentioned, up in the foothills of Table Mountain, called Herzler, a lovely school. And my father was desperate to get me through matric. He didn't think it would ever happen.
Yeah.
And I had a fantastic friend who I grew up with in those days,
Yeah.
by the name of Joel Abramovitz, also a nice Jewish boy, who met a very sad end. It's even difficult for me to talk about him. Hung himself in a kiddies park in Sydney a few years
Oh
ago.
my God.
Financial, left a beautiful family behind. Just shocking
Yes.
story. But Joel and I, we were in a race to lose our virginity.
Oh my gosh. Who does that?
Who does that? Now, when I came through school, none of the girls at school were interested in either Joel or I, not even remotely. I've told them since when we have school reunions,
Yeah.
they all laugh, you know.
Yeah.
And they still say nothing's changed. They wouldn't know. And anyway, Joel and I, our fathers were so keen to get us through matric. They said, if you guys study and you write matric and you study hard,
Yeah.
as soon as you come out, we're going to put you on an all expenses paid cruise
Yes.
from Cape Town to Durban and back. It was a 7-day cruise, similar to what they do now.
Yeah.
That ship at the time, for you oldies, there was called the Windsor Castle. Okay,
Yeah.
it was a British liner, Castle Cruises. Anyway, Joel and I get in this ship, and we're now, for the first time on our own, we're 17 and a half years old, and there's only one thing in our little brains: we're going to lose our virginity.
Jesus.
This is the game. We even got cash. Our fathers have given us cash. They've never had cash before. Anyway, it's about 3 or 4 days, and we get from Cape Town to Durban, and now stopped in Durban for a couple of days, and of course nothing's happened. We've tried everything. No girls are interested in us. So Joel says, you know what we must do? Let me phone my older brother in Cape Town and see what advice he's got for us. He's not a virgin. Anyway, so phone. His name is Mark. Says, Mark, what do we do? Mark says, no, I've got excellent advice for you guys. What you do is, you need something called Spanish fly, okay?
Yeah.
And it's a powder, and you put it into the girl's drink,
Ah.
and it's going to make her die for the first guy with her. She has to have you,
Yeah.
okay?
She gets horny.
Yes. Oh, I didn't know I was allowed to say it.
Okay.
She gets very horny,
Yeah.
and apparently it's so bad that there's an itch down there.
Ah.
Complete nonsense. But we, in our 17-year-old, desperate to lose our virginity minds, fantastic, okay? Where do we buy this? No, there used to be a place called the Durban Market. It was very famous back in those days. It doesn't exist anymore. Go to the Durban Market, look for an Indian guy,
Yeah.
and they'll sell it to you. Scurry off, hour later,
Yes.
We find it in pill form. Okay, not powder form. In pill form, these little white tablets. I'll never forget them. And I'll tell you why now. Anyway, I buy a little capsule of 10 of these pills, and Joel buys 10 for himself. Okay.
Yeah.
And we head back to the ship, and we are now ready. The next night, the ship stops in East London and it picks up these Navy swans. These are girls in the Navy. So they would have been 1 year older than us. Okay?
Yeah.
And we're having a big disco. It was discos in those days. And I've got my best discos outfit on. And I walk up to these two girls. I start chatting. And somehow I managed to convince them to come back to our cabin with us.
Yes.
I'm telling you, Sipa, I remember that day, that night, like it was tonight.
Ah.
It was one of those inflection points in my life. My hands, I was shaking, okay?
Yeah.
I'm shaking. Joel's shaking. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So Joel says to me, here's the plan. And let me tell you, this guy was a disaster. He was a walking disaster area.
Yeah.
You know when you watch those old disaster movies?
Yeah.
And you see a guy walking down the street and buildings are blowing up behind him.
Yeah.
This was Joel.
A problem guy.
Problem guy. And Joel says, here's what's going to happen. You got the gift of the gab. You keep them talking. We had a little like a kitchenette area in our cabin.
Yeah.
You keep them talking. I'm going to make the coffees. He goes,
Yeah.
sort of coffee. Anyway, so I should never have listened to him. So he goes behind the counter and I'm chatting to the girls and I'm so excited I can't control myself.
Yeah.
And Joel starts thinking in his peanut brain, okay, because there was one living brain cell inside that brain, inside that head. It's now or never. The instructions say, put one capsule inside each girl's coffee. Okay? Joel thinks now or never. He throws all 10 in.
No ways.
10 into one, and all 10 into the other. We were just innocent little boys, and all 10 into the other.
Ah.
Okay? And he positions the coffees perfectly on the tray, walks back to me, and drinks a little knowing smile. It's going to happen now. You know, he's confident, and we sit down, and the coffee's steaming. You know, so no one's drinking it yet. And he did everything right, except he forgot to do one thing. What do you think he forgot to do?
He didn't tell you which one.
No, it wasn't that. What else do you think he might have forgotten to do? I'll tell you.
Okay.
Forgot to stir. So we're sitting, chatting. The next thing, 20 pills come floating to the top.
No!
You
Bloody ways!
You couldn't even see coffee, okay? It was not brown, it was all white. And only in theirs. I mean, the poor girls levitated. You remember, they thought we were drugging them, okay?
Yes!
The poor girls levitated. They were out of that cabin in 2 seconds flat. Joel looked at me. And about 3 minutes later, I thought the window was knocking on the window, knocking on the door. The ship's police. They've got a police force on
No ways!
ships. Hands tied behind cufflinks. What do you call it? Handcuffs.
Yeah.
Hands cuffed behind our backs.
No
We were
ways!
taken down to a cell. I didn't even know they had a cell on the ship. And we're taken down to a cell downstairs. The next thing, the purser's like the chief operating officer. So if the captain's the CEO of a ship, the purser's the chief operating officer. He comes down and he says, you boys are in a whole heap of trouble. I look at Joel and now I'm shaking. I'm really genuinely shaking. And Joel says, no, sir, you don't understand. He says, we're both virgins. These are not drugs. It's Spanish fly, you know, it's powder. And we're trying to make the girls horny to make them interested in us.
Yeah.
Because no girls have ever showed any interest in us. He's going on with this whole long story. And this ship's purser is rolling on the floor laughing. We had to tell that story 10 times. He kept on phoning people. You've got to listen to these two idiots, okay? Just come, you've got to listen to these two fools, okay?
They don't have game.
No, they got no game. Anyway, we tell the story to the whole ship. The next morning we go to breakfast and everyone's saying, those two guys, you know, by now the story got around the ship. We spent the next 2.5 days in our cabin.
Oh shit.
Depressed. We couldn't even say sex to either of us for the next 3 years. We didn't want to know. Okay, we pictured sex with going to jail. Okay, losing
Yes, no way. That's the worst story I've ever heard.
That is the worst. Let me tell you, it was years.
Yes.
I think I must have been 43 when I finally lost it after.
Oh
joking,
no.
but no.
Yes, this can't be.
Yeah, so anyway, so in
Yo.
those days, losing my virginity was not something I'm very proud of.
Yes, see. Oh my God, that's like
Yeah,
crazy.
but I'm very thankful. I have lost it, and I've
Yeah.
landed up with a beautiful daughter called Georgia.
Now look at you.
Hello, Georgia.
Hey, Georgia.
And, hey,
Beautiful
Georgia.
name.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, how did that name come about?
from the
Georgia.
Deep South, Ray Charles.
Georgia.
You
Ah.
hear it?
Yeah.
From that song, Georgia on My Mind.
Oh my God, what a beautiful song.
Yeah, isn't it a beautiful song? And that's where the name Georgia came from. And by the way, Ray Charles is one of my musical gods, obviously.
I think when you listen to that song, you like stop. You
And
pause
he
and
stopped-
listen.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's. I mean, they made a movie about him. It was called Genius. Why?
Yes.
Because he is a genius. He was a genius.
Yo.
Yeah.
But you've got story for days, man.
I
So,
could sit here and chat to you forever.
but I need to take a break. I need to find a bathroom. So I think, my friend, you and I have had a great conversation.
No, it's been wonderful.
You've shared so much. I think we'll do a part 2 sometime. And
Time?
because I want us to be able to monitor how you are doing this thing of yours of teaching black people the history of our music, because it needs to get there, and a lot of young people can
It
get a
really
lot
does.
of inspiration from that music,
Yes, from the old masters.
from the old
Yeah,
masters,
no, absolutely. So
to understand how to pour the soul and
Yeah.
into the music, because I think a lot of music has lost soul,
completely.
you know.
When it's generated on a computer, how can it have soul?
It can't. It has to take years and days and hours of playing this guitar, this drums, and you know, of course, it evolves, and we must be awake to, you know, things changing. But
Well, most of these blues masters were illiterate. So all they could do was sing about what they knew about, what happened to them that day.
yeah,
What
yeah,
happened to them that day. That's why it's such beautiful from the heart music. And really, if I can just thank you for appreciating what I do.
yeah. I do,
And,
I do.
And for putting this out and putting the blues out. For me, I just see this as another advert for the blues.
Yeah.
Sorry I spoke so much rubbish.
No,
and,
no, no.
um,
People
and,
will enjoy.
and
People
please-
like rubbish talk now and again.
Of course. Can I give the show?
Please, shout out, shout out, yeah.
Radio Bob, College of Musical Knowledge, this Sunday and every Sunday, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. I would love to have you there. I'll give my number out and talk to me when you get in. I'd love to meet you online and tell me your story, and I'll see if I can put your story out there, because what the blues is telling stories, just like the incredible Sipho here. And listen to this podcast. I mean, the man is just not a communication master. I fall at your feet. I've learned so much.
Ah.
So thanks very much, and I really appreciate being here. And thanks, Mr. President.
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah,
President.
I'm going to do one last final post.
Yeah, there we
Yeah,
go,
who's
bud.
cool?
There we go.
Let's
There
do
we go.
one cool final post.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a picture after this. But where can people find you online?
People can find me on Facebook. Ron Kheshner is my name, and also on Instagram.
Absolutely.
Go and look for the Rockin' and Malungu and Rockin' Ron, Rockin_Ron. That's my Instagram handle. Come in and get a view on my life, and I'd love to have a view on yours.
Ah, this has been fantastic. One of the best interviews I've had. Thank you very much, man. You've got so many stories, and I really appreciate you. And continue shining the light in
Thank
the
you.
music that really started
Thank
it
you.
all.
I certainly will.
The music that started it all.
Music that started it all.
And I need you to meet up with Smoke,
Please.
because Smoke has a concept that I think you're gonna fall in love
I
with.
would be honored to
He
smoke.
wants to take, because he's a African based blues artist, and he knows that slaves were taken from here,
Yes.
shipped across, and the stories that he's got there that he wants to share. He's got a phenomenal story, and he's got a planned trip to the US that he's working on, and I think if you guys can talk,
He sounds like my new hero.
he's got a phenomenal story to share. But
I would love
big
to.
ups to Smoke, man. Big ups.
Let's give a big
to
plug
Re-
to Smoke.
Yeah, and everybody
Real
follow
African
him.
bluesman.
Absolutely. And yeah, follow Radio Bob, the station with a mind of its own. Every time I
Thank you
listen
for
to
that.
the guys, it's incredible. Bra Hector, thank you very much for reviving it. And I remember when he spoke to me and said, you know what, I'm working on this concept of bringing back Radio Bob. I said, what? And he says, Sipho, I'm doing this thing. And he came and he listened to what I was doing online, how I was doing my podcasts and online streaming at the time. And he said, this is how I think I'm going to do it. And I'm going to make it bigger. and I love what he's doing. So big ups and shout out to Hector and Hector
Our
Motivator.
boss, other boss.
Absolutely. All right, man. Thank you very much for watching. This is it. Boom. We are out. Bam.